first Ask Us Anything of 2017.
Indeed it is, Kenny.
Tell me what you're looking forward to, Matt.
Well, it's one of our better shows,
It
Kenny.
is.
You know, because really we're all about getting information out to people, and sometimes I know, we have a topic every week, and sometimes, the topic that you may be tuned into is not something you want to hear about.
Right.
But everyone has a question. It seems everyone has a question. I can say that because when you go out, when you go out to Walmart or the store, whatever, or to church, someone's got a question.
Yes,
so
that's right.
Tonight is that night. So if you have a burning little question, something just in the back of your mind, and you want to ask somebody, well, give us a call.
We got the perfect panel for you tonight for that free legal information tonight.
Right.
Now, the key to Ask Us Anything, having Matt's good, all right, but you got to have the panel. You got to bring the mojo.
Yeah, oh, you do. Well,
you got to bring somebody who can fill the void for
kind
everything.
Pick up the slack.
I don't want to say slack,
really?
but yeah.
That's what
Who did you bring tonight? Who did you bring tonight?
Well, we're very fortunate to have Lee Turner, Lee from Leakesville. He's the third time on the show. And interestingly, he's a county prosecuting attorney, and he's going to kind of explain what that is. So
Lee, welcome back to the show.
Glad to
being
be
here on
back.
Ask Us
Anything.
Anything. Yeah, county prosecutor. A lot of folks they see it on the ballot probably once every 4 years, and
it is one of those forgotten.
And they're like, oh yeah, well I was here to vote for my supervisor. Yeah, I guess
who's this guy?
Who's this dude?
Exactly.
Oh, I like the Turner last name. That sounds pretty good.
I think I know his mother.
Okay. It's kind of a hybrid position. It's in most counties, depending on your population, you prosecute misdemeanors in the justice courts of your county. You also have to do youth court. Depending on the size of your county, you also have to do preliminary hearings and bond reductions in circuit court. But it'll keep you on your toes, especially the youth court aspect in these rural counties.
Absolutely. And then, of course, you still have your own private practice,
Oh, absolutely.
Don't you?
That's why it's kind of a hybrid. Most prosecutors in this state are full-time positions. County prosecutors are one of the few that you maintain a private practice as well.
Yeah, that is interesting because you think to yourself, oh, you're a county employee, which you are, but you do have that private practice on the side, and it's an interesting...
Yeah, you're wearing two hats always at the same time.
Absolutely.
Very similar to city judgeship work.
If only we had a city judge.
I don't know where we could find one. I don't know where we could find one. Man of wisdom of Solomon.
So
I don't know.
As you can tell, my friends, that we have plenty of legal expertise on it tonight with a city judge and a county attorney, both in private practice. And you did mention that. Anyway, Lee, glad to have you back.
I'm glad to be back. I appreciate it.
Really appreciate it. All right, let's call in from Jonathan here. Jonathan just wanted to, he had a question, but he didn't want to be on air.
Yeah, I can understand that.
He
I feel the same
was
way.
involved in a traffic accident with a police officer. Notice that he's being mentioned here. There was some serious injuries that were part of that, and he is considering a lawsuit against that police officer personally. This kind of strikes home for both of y'all here. So who wants to take this one first? Lee?
I'm going to defer to Matt.
I'll be happy to talk. Yeah, well, okay, just because, because you're involved with the accident with a police officer, they're a government agent, right? They're a government actor. So there is a provision in the state of Mississippi to file suit when someone that works for the county or the state or the city injures you, okay? But there's some tricky aspects of that. Number one, it's a short statute of limitations. Okay, you have to file a claim within 1 year. That's very critical. Number two, you've got to provide what's called a Tort Claims Notice Act letter before doing anything, and that's a statutory requirement. You've got to send a letter with some very specific information about your case, and you have to do that before you can file suit. And if you don't do it or don't do it correctly, the case will be tossed out.
Wow.
So
important.
Yes, very important, critical, and that stuff is and a lot of lawyers have made mistakes in that. A lot of people have made mistakes. There's been a lot of litigation about the rules about that notice. So that's very tricky, very critical stuff.
Jonathan, we appreciate the call-in question tonight. Appreciate your discretion in that matter. That takes us into our first break. She did have a chance to tell our producer, thankfully, before we got her on the air here. Yeah. She was involved, unfortunately, with a hit-and-run accident, guys. So she was there was an accident. The person who hit her car fled the scene, and she is looking for some options. Lee, what are your thoughts?
Well, first, she needs to work with her local law enforcement to try to track down the driver who's at fault. She also needs to immediately contact her insurer and let them know what's going on and keep them posted. But, depending on if they find the driver or not find the driver, she might have a claim under her uninsured or underinsured motorist coverage to compensate her for her loss.
And then there's obviously the legal side. You're not allowed to leave an accident, are you?
No, you're certainly not. That person has committed a crime, and they've actually fled and committed another crime by fleeing. So.
Right there. Matt, your thoughts?
Lee's exactly right. He ended out of the park. That person has committed a crime by leaving. And so that's a misdemeanor. And hopefully, Mary has coverage, and we talk about this, and every time a car wreck, kind of case comes up, hopefully she's got good coverage, and in that case, it probably will come into not only handle her property claim, but if there are any personal injuries as well, it'll be there for that.
But Matt, the criminal side really doesn't factor into her recovery, does it? I mean, that is a totally separate thing, isn't it?
It is. Sometimes there's some overlap, obviously, but you're right. It's a separate kind of total, completely different incident. Absolutely. More than likely, if that person ran, they probably don't have insurance.
Yeah.
Worst case, they might have been impaired. They might have been under the influence. We see that a fair amount. Yeah. Usually, if people have insurance, they stop. If they're not, but we've seen that more cases than not. If someone runs, there's a reason they're running, obviously. So.
Lee, let me flip it around here. What if you're the person who make that terrible decision and you do pull away? And then 24 hours passes and you realize, my gosh, what did I do? How would you handle that? What would you counsel that person to do?
I would, again, work with their attorney and, report it to law enforcement and do the right thing.
Do as quickly as possible.
Absolutely, to try to mitigate the damage that you caused.
Is it one of those things, the more time that goes by, the worse it is for you?
Absolutely. I think if you step up to the plate at first, there's something that can be said.
I've seen that firsthand, Kenny, and I can tell you, you can imagine, the law is, pretty aggressive to those that run off, and run and don't kind of take responsibility for what they do. And so, if that person is found and and it's not voluntary, I can believe the full weight of the law usually falls upon them. Whereas if they come in, and say it was me, obviously
I made a terrible decision.
It goes a lot better. It goes a lot better for them.
It's kind of like when you get in trouble with your parents when you're a kid. It's better to fess up early
and blame your brother.
With cell phone cameras and things, they're going to catch you these days.
Well, that's true. And Matt had a lot of brothers, so that's a factor. That's a factor. All right, let's see here. Mary, thank you for trying to get a call in. We really do appreciate it.
The person who owns the property next to me brought a bulldozer in, and he pushed the property line, but he actually pushed my property line on my side and went down into my property and took a right. And puts a lot of trees up, big piles that I can't knock down. I don't have the equipment to do it, and I'm trying to. A lot of big trees, a lot of small trees, a lot of bushes. I just don't know what to do about it.
So he got a bulldozer, crossed into your property, and really kind of messed with your land a little bit.
That's what happened.
Okay,
he actually started it.
Well, man, that's one of these things, in county life you hear about it. It happens quite a bit. So I want to say, which one of you guys want to take a shot at this?
Lee's in the timber business.
Come on, Lee, you're in the
I think this is Greene County, not Social here. Well, first of all, there's a couple things going on. Obviously, there's the potential trespass action. There's a criminal side. I mean, anytime in Mississippi, trespass is a strict liability crime. If somebody steps on your property even an inch, they've committed a crime. Also, I would basically get a survey done would be the first thing that I would recommend. You also have not only the trespass, you also have damage to timber. There are certain damages that go on to there.
Right.
And also, if you're not able to come to a just resolution talking with the person, you would need to go to Chancery Court and quiet and confirm title to your own property. And unfortunately, that happens all the time.
I'm in a little bit of county government myself, and you do hear about this all the time. And a lot of times it's just a pure accident. Oh, I didn't realize my property line was there, but...
one thing, tell me, you cannot, with modern surveying, you cannot compare it with the days when somebody would drag a chain and measure, again, with solar observation, the surveying has gotten so much more accurate. Sure. Again, there are certain things with long 40s and short 40s and things of that nature. Again, not knowing particulars about the property, but again, it happens all the time. But certainly, there's been a fence there, there's been a well-established boundary line, even though that might not technically be your property based on a survey, you would have certain rights to that property that somebody could not impede upon.
Matt?
Yeah, there's actually some interesting little twist on that. There's some statutory damage that the legislature has enacted because it's such a common matter that there's a state statute that addresses some of the damages, the treble damages. You get damages times 3 for these situations because they kind of realize that it's your land is your castle and your kingdom, and people going on there and knocking down some trees may have let's just say some limited value, but more of a kind of a tort of outrage really, to make it worth people's while and give it kind of the statute some punch to make it, so people will actually go through with it. They've actually added damages on top of it. So there's more of an opportunity here to recover full value than maybe he would think otherwise.
Where do you think Justin should start with this, Matt? Maybe take some photos of the damage?
Absolutely. I'd take some photos. Honestly, what I would recommend probably, depending upon his relationship with this guy, is talk to the neighbor and get his story, see what happened, and see if they could work out some type of an agreement. Of course, without getting angry, and if that's possible. Sometimes I know neighbors don't get along, so it's not possible. But I would start there. If not, I would take Lee's suggestion.
Thank you so much for your time.
Appreciate it.
Hey, and buddy, appreciate you for your service in the Coast
That's
Guard
right.
as well.
Lee's in the Coast Guard, and so he's doing a lot of good stuff.
We'll be back tomorrow. We'll be back next Saturday night at 10:30, taking all your calls about divorce, child custody, as we go over Loving the Law. But until then, good night.